I got my focus on passion and empathy, gaining perspectives, investing, I do believe money and grinding go hand in hand, you will see. I'm working smart, expending my energy, hope that you feeling me. I'm acting differently, you got a friend in me. I'm working hard to try and work smart, no time to complain, it's time to start, we gotta work. Future millionaires.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Future Millionaires. Today we have on Elliot Drake, who is a co-founder of Connected, which, as we mentioned in a previous episode, is a badass SaaS company that is growing at a very fast rate. So without further ado, Elliot, how you doing today, brother?
Hey, I'm living the dream, man. Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure, brother. So I'd love for you to start us out with just like a 60 to 90 second snippet on where you're really at in your life and business right now.
Love it. Yeah, so 21 years old, at a place in my life where I just feel like, honestly, everything is very clear. Like, I guess that's the best way to put it. Like,
yeah,
business is doing really well. We're helping a lot of people. Companies growing fast. I'm just feeling good, man. Like,
oh yeah, I love it. So would you say this is like the clearest you've ever felt, in your existence?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because I started in digital marketing about 5 years ago, man, and
yeah.
I was working with a lot of clients. I kind of bounced around from thing to thing because my biggest focus is how can I make the biggest impact in the marketplace and helping people's lives. And, finally with what we have with Connected and the way we're serving our customers and just really making a dent there, adds so much clarity, and it just feels really good.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. So let's rewind the clock a little bit before we dive into everything, because, we got a young audience base here on Future Millionaires, a lot of people in the college to high school range. So I noticed you said that, about 5 years ago, you were into digital marketing. I'd like for you to just explain a little bit about your early upbringing and how that really brought you into entrepreneurship. Yeah,
for sure. So I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. Didn't have the most traditional childhood, had dad was a drug addict, ended up, committing suicide when I was 17.
Wow.
I just had a lot of issues growing up in the household, which now that I'm older and I can kind of look back into the way that I acted, it was because of those events where I was able to pour myself into business and trying to achieve and become the best version of myself I possibly could.
Yeah.
And so that's really how I got into entrepreneurship. Started in sneakers, much like my business partner, Devin, kind of how we got connected. We go to trade shows, flip sneakers. I was always able to make more money doing that than working a traditional job. That led into a clothing line, which then flopped. But then I realized through that, hey, the reason why this didn't work was because I didn't understand how to sell online. And then that's where my love for digital marketing started, and I just literally spent my high school years just like watching YouTube videos, learning how to run Facebook ads, and everything just started to compound from there.
Awesome. So I got a few questions on that too. So starting with the Facebook ads that you recently mentioned, I remember when I first got into Facebook ads, I did watch a lot of YouTube videos also, but like for me at least, I got into drop shipping first, right? And I watched all these like videos on how to do it. And I swear, if it were like a rubric, I would have got an A in school. I did everything that they were telling me to do. But I got an F from the marketplace, right? I didn't sell shit. I sold one thing to my mom. Yeah, dude, I felt hard.
Shipping like China stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I only had like $300 when I started that too. So I'm just wondering for you though, what was that experience like, like learning from YouTube and then with your Facebook ads, and when you start to learn that, like, did you have failures along the way? Was it smoother for you? I'm curious to kind of hear more about that experience.
Yeah, for sure, man. I started on YouTube, right? And then I had a couple of clients, like never did anything amazing, had a couple of clients, but at the end of the day, like I could get results for some clients, but then some I couldn't, right? Which later what I realized is the right versus the wrong client, understanding the different pieces that an individual needs to have for this formula to produce a result, be able to be confident in that. And so I kind of struggled. So then that's when I came to realization, okay, I understand how to do this service, but there's a difference between understanding how to do a service and actually running a real business and having a process. And so that's when I decided to go. I reached out to a guy named Dennis Yu and basically worked for his company, and he mentored me. That's why I moved to Arizona, worked on massive clients, corporate clients, traveled with him all around the United States and even internationally for speaking events. Got to sit, like at 17, I was literally sitting in the same room watching him close the San Diego Tourist Association. So basically in a year and a couple month time frame, I got a 4-year degree in digital marketing. After that was when I left and was able to start my own thing, working with massive influencers, helping them scale their courses through funnels, also was working with some e-commerce brands. So that's when I actually was able to see a massive stride. And then from that was where, okay, how can we, an agency model, like it's great, but think about, we have close to 10,000 active customers. Now imagine having 10,000 active traditional marketing clients running their Facebook ads. We would have to have an office way bigger than this, like the complexity there, and I felt like I couldn't help as many lives. So that's how the agency led into the software.
No, that's an awesome point. And before we move on to Connected, there's one other point in your early upbringing, which first off, clearly very unfortunate. I'm sorry you had to go through that experience when you were 17 of losing your father. I'm sure that made you super strong. And for other people out there who may be listening to this that maybe not had the same experience, but something else traumatic, a lot of times I see people go one of two paths. They either kind of rise above like you did, or unfortunately, sometimes they fold just because they're in such a bad place. And sometimes they rebound later. But for you, did you think that there's anything during that time period that really helped you pick the first of those options of, rising above rather than, kind of folding under that? Because I could really see how that would mess somebody up pretty bad.
Yeah, man. I'm a big believer in life happens for you, not to you. It's all about perspective. Personally, I have a very strong, my faith leads me in like everything that I do, which helped me be strong through those different moments. So that's really just realize that life happens for you, not to you. And it's about how do you take the things that happen in your life and then turn them into something good. Like the way that I see it, I've been able to have the luxury to speak on stages and things like that. Even if it's a digital marketing event, I will start with telling my story about how that happened and then lead up here. Because then, number one, from a speaking standpoint, the crowd feels like they can connect with me, understand me, but in my own heart, I want people to realize like, hey, listen, everybody has a different story. Everyone goes through different events. So you can really do anything you put your mind to. And so,
definitely.
I wouldn't change the way what's happened in my life for nothing, because I wouldn't be the person I am today. And my journey would be so much different. Who knows if I'd be here if I didn't have a tough upbringing, Yeah,
very, very true. And I really like your perspective on that, because at the end of the day, it really is perspective for so much of life and how you perceive it and your attitude you take towards it. It's funny. There was one thing my basketball coach told me when I was, a freshman in high school, and I still remember it's, you can always control your attitude and your effort in any situation. And I feel like, what you said there kind of is the same thing, and that's super important. So going into Connected now too, just start by telling everyone, what's your roles in Connected? Because I know you guys, it's cool how you structured your team. You have a lot of people in charge of different departments. So, what are you really focusing on within Connected?
Yeah, for sure. So I play the CMO role, handling all of our marketing and how we're going to bring more people into the business. And then as well, part of being an owner of a company, it's like, owners, like where is the best place based on what our goals are for this quarter, et cetera. And so I've been playing that role, but also working with Aaron Platt, who came on with us a couple months ago, who's a massive piece into helping with our growth, really develop and build this sales team, and that's really my role. So handling a lot of the marketing partnerships, and then also helping develop this sales team.
Definitely. So, let's start with the marketing there. First off, I'm wondering, because what I love about marketing is there's always kind of like fun niches you can get into. And when you really hit something, it makes a big impact. So I'm wondering what you first off enjoy doing the most out of all the different, avenues of marketing that you're going down, whether that be like content or, like website development. I'm not sure if, you guys hire somebody to do that or if you on the team, but I'm just wondering what you really enjoy doing in that.
No, I love content. Like honestly, with Connect, at the end of the day, it's like we just started running Facebook ads. Like we've grown our whole user base from obviously like relationships, but those aren't necessarily marketing, but using our tool to sell our tool, LinkedIn, right? And then also a big portion is YouTube and SEO. And the reason I'm saying I love those two avenues is because SEO, it's a longer term game. But like, for instance, if you type in any of our competitors, we are ranking on the first page of all of their brands. So like we are just completely dominating there, which is also something that's helping to our growth. SEO, because it's a long-term play, it takes advantage of traffic that is already warm. If they're going to Google and typing in LinkedIn marketing, LinkedIn lead gen, that person already has a signal of being qualified. They already have a need. They already have a pain point. And then if you're right there, boom, you're going to take advantage of that. Same with YouTube, right? Like people don't really go on Facebook unless they're in Facebook groups, obviously, but they don't go on there to learn these different tactics. They go on YouTube to, if you type in LinkedIn automation, for instance, on YouTube, my video ranks number 3. I made that video 8 months ago and, it's made so much money, but I teach value in that video. And then at the end, I talk about our tool, and then in the description I use things like ManyChat over email because like they opt in to get the slides from the value, and then 3 days later they get a link to booking a demo, which then results in a sales call, and then they get on. Like those different tactics, because they live and they're evergreen pieces of content where you can capitalize on traffic that's already there monthly without having to really spend money for it.
Definitely. No, and that's super cool. And I actually knew that you guys ranked very highly on YouTube as well, taking up a lot of that real estate. So, I mean, starting there, with YouTube SEO, do you have any tips for somebody who would want to rank their own content, specifically for their business on YouTube? Because I feel like a lot of people, they know they want to provide value, but they don't really know the tactics and the strategies to help their, content rank highly.
Yeah. There's kind of a lot. I'll just kind of start. Like if you want to start, what you want to do is you want to identify, like say you're starting a brand new YouTube channel. What you want to do is, okay, who are the clients I want to attract? What are the topics that I'm going to teach about, value I'm going to give based on pain points and issues your customers already have? Then there's tools out there. Just look up like research tools where you can see the search volume for certain keywords, and then pre-make lists of titles that you can make the YouTube video about, then make the YouTube video based on the title that's already getting monthly search volume. Make that video. My video that ranks high is very long, so it's not following that, but it still works. But keep it between, on average, like a little over 10 minutes. 15 minutes is a little too long on YouTube. Have that good headline, which is going to rank. Then have a short video that keeps people's attention, between 10 to 15 minutes long. Then fill up your about section with all the different keywords and hashtags that you want. Also, another little tip is, I'll go into that in a second, then your thumbnail. Have a really good thumbnail that's going to get people to click on it and things. Those are really the two main variables. And then some like other kind of side hacks that you can do is like, and people think it's counterproductive. I forget the name of the channel, but he basically learned how to like hack the YouTube algorithm. What he'll do is he'll post a video. I think he does like gold digger pranks. Like
Who Man or something like that?
Yeah, but what he'll do is he'll post that, and then all of his competitor channels that have posted similar content, like he posts like Milk Boys, all these things, he'll put links to their videos in his about section at the very bottom. And what it does is it almost hijacks the credibility of their views and traffic for his content, then boosts it inside of the algorithm because YouTube thinks it's a good piece of content because it's associated to other channels that already have social proof on their stuff.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that last one. So that's super cool. I'll have to test that out when, we get more into content marketing on YouTube. And Okay, so one thing I hear about a lot on YouTube, to go a little deeper into that while we're on the topic, is you want to hit on like meta tags, and I hear some people saying they don't matter, like what you put in your description doesn't matter, but like you hear a lot of conflicting information. So what's your view on that?
Yeah, no, it 100% matters. Like, because that's what you give, because all social media platforms, what they want is they want to have a good experience for their users, right?
Mm-hmm.
So based on things that you type in, they're going to give you results based on, you know, what is the most relevant. So the more keywords and stuff you fill out in your about section, the higher you're just going to rank. It gives YouTube more signal.
Definitely. And I feel like a lot of people too, when they make YouTube videos or they want to make content, a big reason or an excuse a lot of people use is, well, I don't have the time to do so. And I'm just wondering, do you have because I know a lot of people may save time with like hiring VAs to do their editing process. And I also know some people really enjoy keeping that in-house because they really want to make sure their videos are, theirs. So how do you kind of structure that to be efficient while you're putting these out as well?
Yeah, I mean, now we have a full team where it's very easy. Like, we're posting content without really having to do anything. We're like recording a video, it's being turned into articles, like distributing, but it didn't start that way. I started doing YouTube back, I don't even know how long ago, right? But I would make the video. I would even edit it myself because I wanted to control kind of the messaging and what went out there, do everything. But the thing is like, oh, I don't have time. Okay, do you have time to work on your business? Like, YouTube is something like a couple videos could take off and completely change the trajectory of your business.
True.
It really can.
Yeah.
And the thing is focus on, block out time. Find, even if it's just 10 videos, okay, I want to get these 10 videos done, and then I need to take a break and work on these other things for a while and let those build, because YouTube is not, it's not just calendar driven content that's, oh, you got to post. It's better if you do, but it's evergreen content that's going to live for a long time. My video I posted 8 months ago that I was talking about ranks number 3 for the word LinkedIn automation because it has so many views, has so many likes, and has so much social clout in YouTube that it looks like the best content. So it continues to rank. It can be years down the road. I'm sure everyone on YouTube has noticed, you type something in and, a lot of the top ones are, old. They're not brand new videos unless it's from somebody who already has a massive following and gets immediate social proof,
Yeah, definitely. So transitioning to Facebook ads and whatnot too, because I noticed you said you guys recently started running those. I'm interested because I feel like a lot of times people, specifically more so in the B2B space, have trouble, with Facebook ads. So I'm wondering what you guys are doing targeting wise, whether that be like a lookalike audience, if you're, letting the algorithm figure things out. I'm curious to hear more about, your guys' approach to that side of your business.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, Facebook's just about testing. We just kind of started. So we're spending a lot of money in these first 30 days testing lots of pieces of content, like thousands of variations to figure out what's working. And like, we're getting a lot of calls, we're getting some results and stuff. We're profitable there, but the only problem with Facebook that we find is a lot of times, you can get high volume on Facebook, but it's kind of hit or miss, so we're still developing that. I don't really have a clear answer to how we like it. We like LinkedIn a lot because our cost to acquire a customer is basically zero and they're qualified. YouTube, not YouTube, but Facebook, we sometimes just get people that it's just like, what? But in regards to targeting, we've had pixels on our site for the whole time we've had the company. But we never leverage it. So we have massive pixel data, and you're right, we're running website retargeting. We created lookalikes based on people that have converted because we had those tracking in there already, and so that is helping us succeed. So we're just trying, we're leveraging those things. It's just like figuring out that top of the funnel a little more is what we're focusing on right now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially since you guys have recently started, because I know, like you said, you want to make sure you're not just saying, hey, look how many leads you brought in. It's like how many of those actually convert. So it's definitely important to optimize that as much as you can, which is always fun experiment when there's, so many people out there within Facebook that you could be targeting. So awesome. Now, one thing I noticed, and I know Devin's huge on this, and even it's funny when I had my call with him, midway through the call, all the sales members were celebrating. And I noticed you said, part of your role is building out the sales team and, working on that side of stuff. So with that, I mean, your guys' culture is pretty sweet. What do you think, you attribute the main aspects of how that culture was built? What would you attribute that to?
It's respect, it's transparency, it's respect, and being, like our plan was to build this kind of culture, at the end of the day, it's about, like, it starts with leadership, right? Like we want to build more of a family. We care about, like, we take everybody, for instance, like everyone here feels valued. There's some companies where people feel like they can't say anything. They can't voice their opinions or what they think is right, which is not something we want to create. We want everyone to feel like they have a voice, and they're also helping towards this mission, because at the end of the day, we can't get to where we want to be without everybody collectively. And so that's what we take. We just take their thing of, we're going to respect everybody. We're going to treat them as equal. We're going to be super, super transparent. We're going to, make it a fun environment for them to be in, a place where they can thrive. And it's just like, it's sick, dude. I don't know. Like those are just really the core values that we've come into. Like whenever we hire everybody, we ask them, like, what is your goal? Like a lot of our sales guys, like, they're entrepreneurs themselves, right? So
yeah,
we take those into consideration. We're like, okay, how can this, if your goal is in 3 years to go and start your own thing and do these, right? We want to help them get there.
Yeah.
We want this to be a stepping stone into something greater for them. And so we take all of that stuff into account, and it's just built something amazing. And then also like strategies like gamification and, teams and points and like all this stuff and adding competitive nature. But the core reason is, just our values and principles.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what is interesting, there are a few things in there I want to touch on. One of them is, I noticed that you said you guys bring on entrepreneurs and, if they want to bring on, which is interesting because I know some companies are either like super anti, if this is an entrepreneur, I don't want to hire them because that means they're going to, learn something and leave, and I don't want to go through the whole process. So I'm wondering, you guys clearly think that the benefits outweigh the negatives of that, and you want to help them get to the goal. So I'm wondering, your guys' mindset on hiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're not normally don't hire entrepreneurs that have like crazy thriving businesses. The power of we like hiring entrepreneurs, like people who have an entrepreneurship mindset, is because they can see visions. We can talk about where we want to go, and they can see it, and they can bring creative ideas and just different collaborative things to the table that ultimately help all of us grow. They're willing, they see the vision, they believe in where we're wanting to go, because how do I want to explain this? I don't know. There's just power in it, man. Like an entrepreneur thinks differently. And so the more entrepreneurs you can have in an environment, we feel the faster you're going to grow, because, multiple brains is much stronger than just one,
Definitely.
There's obviously people who are more of just an employee role. They have the SOP, this is what you need to do. But then there's other individuals that don't perform like that. If we give them creative ability, it brings massive, massive value to our company. But then also, you can't put an entrepreneur, someone who's entrepreneurial in their mindset, in a box, because they're not going to be happy. They're not going to stay.
That's true.
So
definitely. Yeah. No, it's really cool to see how you guys did that, because I just see a lot of agencies specifically, because I'm still in the agency world, but a lot of times, writing off people who are interested in entrepreneurship because they're, afraid they're going to leave. But I'm definitely on the same aspect of you guys, where like you can get a lot of benefits from getting the right person who has that entrepreneurial mindset, but, clearly doesn't want to do their own venture at the moment. And okay, so one thing I noticed you said too was, you guys want to set up your team members for success, and that's a big part of your culture. And I'm curious to hear more about, what that looks like with your guys' goal setting, and then how you help them achieve those goals.
Yeah, we put training in place. If they want training, if they want to get better at these things, we just open up doors, for them.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of the day, we want to help them hit those goals. Like, Connected is the main focus. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to get here, right, a lot of the people want to get here, but there's a lot of things you need to go through to get there.
Yeah.
But with Connected and being a part of this team, we can open up massive doors and whatever you want. Like some of them, it's all about relationships. So if you need a relationship with a certain person to help you get to where you want to go, mentorship, we can open those doors up. There's just lots of variables. We just take their goals and we put in places for them, whether it's training, whether it's spending more one-on-one time with them, whether it's, oh, hey, this is kind of what I really want to do, but I'm not good at, allowing them to also work on those aspects. Like we have one that's crazy good at sales, but he loves video and he loves the creative. So he's doing these Friday things, took it upon himself, and he's just doing these Friday interviews with everybody, and he loves it, and so, we're not we embrace that. We want people to, Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely, man. No, it's super cool. So say somebody too comes in and, they're like, hey, I want to be the top sales representative. That's what I care about. I'm a competitive person. I want to be at the top. Are you guys, well, I guess I got a few questions into this one. So clearly you guys are using Connected to, generate these meetings, and I'm assuming all your sales reps have Connected running on their profiles. Are they the ones who manage that profile, or do you guys have different kind of appointment setter roles where these people help manage the profiles and generate the appointments, and then the salespeople get on the calls, or is it they're generating their own appointments too and then getting on the calls with them?
It's kind of like a hybrid, right? So not everybody's a closer, right? So we have finders, which those are people who are just amazing at generating leads. We have guys, specific guys who just literally they know how to type, they know how to talk, they know how to. It's just crazy. They can set so many meetings, but they can't close. So we have finders who are just in a finder role. That's all they do. Then we have closers who all they do is get fed leads from the finder. They close them down all day. We have developers who the developers nurture the clients we have, make sure they're happy, do these different things like ask for referrals, etc. But still, closers will also find their own leads as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
We have really 3 different stages.
No, that's cool to hear how it's segmented, because that's something I'm trying to do in my own agency. Because right now, sales reps are also generating a lot of the leads, and I feel like that's definitely the better approach to it. So for you guys too, how many appointments a week are you guys aiming to get on, for, to have a really successful sales career, to hit that threshold each week?
Yeah, well, we have about 40 to 50 sales calls per day.
Yeah, that's nice. So what's that broke down to, each person? What's an individual goal for that, so the listener can better understand if they're out there and they really want to know what they should be expecting to crush in sales?
Yeah, for Connected, basically. It's different, right? It depends on your close rate. So, and how qualified the lead is. For us, we very rare, but we literally have a 67% close rate on someone who books a demo that goes through our funnel.
Yeah.
So we can calculate what that really is. You know what I mean? So that answers your question. But each person, they should, one of our standards is a finder should have at least 3 leads per day generated. Closer should be basically on calls every part of the day. They should do 8 to 9 demos each per day.
Yeah, that's a super solid number to hit. That's the level I'm trying to get to. Yeah,
that's the goal. Not each one always is. We're working towards that. Some do, some don't, obviously. And as everyone's getting better, they're being developed. We're continuing to go more and more. So.
Definitely. So as an entrepreneur, I even noticed this morning, I was on the good old gram on Instagram, and I checked out your story, and I noticed you post something about consistency. And I feel like focus and consistency are like two of the most important things, and basically anything you're going to do in life. So I want to hear more about what that's been for you and how important that's been in your journey.
Oh, it's huge. I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. It was a buddy of mine, and we had dinner, and he was just like, man, like, I'm just not liking what I'm doing and all this stuff. And I was like, man, like 3 months ago, you were talking about, hey, you're working this job so you can gain these skills, so then you could get into real estate and be able to flip houses and things like that. Listen, I haven't loved digital marketing there's been points where I haven't liked it and I've wanted to quit. The shiny object syndrome has come about where I'm like, oh, maybe drop shipping would be cool, or Amazon, or it just happened. But I didn't. I stuck to what I'm doing, which then led to we are just getting started, but where we're at now, it was just literally the consistency. Even if things fail, just stay to what the path you're going. Because if I were to not stay with digital marketing, I would not be where we're at right now with Connected and the things we're doing here. Still digital marketing, it's just packaged different. It makes sense, because we don't just give software, we actually help with strategy on LinkedIn, do lots of things with just the software. If I were to 2 years ago, right, the agency was just stressful. I wasn't, things were just messed up at times. If I were to switch to do Amazon automation or these drop shipping things, I have to jump. Obviously, knowledge on Facebook and all these things would have added to it, but I would have to go through that whole process again, right? It's what's that saying of to be master something, it takes 10,000 hours or whatever. It's 100% the case. If you figure out something, if you stick with it, you're bound to become successful if you never give up. It's just facts. Work hard every day, be consistent with that one thing, and it'll all pan out. People don't, most successful people in the world don't just say that for no reason, Yeah,
definitely. There's definitely patterns in success. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And so it's so simple, it's funny. It's almost kind of how do you get, what'd you say?
I said it's simple yet hard. It's easy to say it. It's hard to implement it. It's hard when you just, work till 12 o'clock at night and you have to be up at 6 to get out of bed and do that day after day after day. But that's where it comes down. Take personality tests, really understand why you're doing this. For me, I want to make an impact in the world. I want to build a legacy. I enjoy and I love helping people. And this is my outlet to do that. I really believe by helping businesses, that is a massive trickle effect into everything else. Because if I help a business owner grow, make more money, succeed, that also helps him provide for his family better, which then helps his kids live a good life. Their kids never have to see their parents struggle. And you know what I'm saying? it's a massive ripple effect that happens in the world, which is why we're here. Money's obviously great, but money is just really a tool. Money's never really been the core thing of why I do this. I do it because I like to make an impact in the world,
Definitely. Yeah. I think what you said about, the simplicity of it all and how that, it's simple but difficult. And it kind of reminds me of working out is simple, in theory, but it's difficult to get ripped because, it takes that consistency, the right food, the right sleep. Which, of course, if you're going to a party, well, you just messed up your whole sleep schedule. So it's a lot of sacrifices, just like it is to succeed and stay consistent in business. And I really, really liked how you went into that trickle effect, because that is something that I think is so underrated and people don't realize that if, like you said, if you can help this business generate more money, it's not just great, I helped the business make money. It's what does that money do? Can they hire a new employee? And now that employee has, even if it's not they're making more money, even if it's just something that now they have a new avenue in life that they're actually passionate about, or they don't hate their job every day. And that trickles down to their family, their relationships. And dude, if you can make somebody, Exactly. And that's what I love about business as well. And it's super cool to hear you're on that same wavelength with that, because it just is like the most true and the most fulfilling when you can really help somebody in that way. So yeah, it's quite incredible. Yeah. So one thing I noticed you said too is, and this is something that I used to think, I was like, what I want to do for work is I want to do something I enjoy every day, right? I just want to be like happy every day. And the more I get into my work, the more I think I want to reevaluate that statement almost, because it's like every day isn't going to be enjoyable, but that doesn't mean it's not something that's fulfilling and that's worth pursuing. And I noticed you hinted at that too. So I'm wondering what's kind of your like outlook on that? Because I remember days that were hard. I was like, should I be doing this? And then I just kind of had like a few different internal conversations. So I'm wondering just your views on like, you know, how to work through that. And then also how to look at something that might not be the most enjoyable, but you still get more fulfillment than you don't from it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because, like entrepreneurship is not like, you know, boom, we're starting a business, Lambos, Ferraris, like, you know, I'm just living life. I'm a boss. I can do whatever I want. You know, it's like, it's very hard work. You know, working a normal 9-to-5 job is very, probably for a lot of people, some not, right? Depressing and, you know, sucks. But entrepreneurship is so much harder, especially being a business owner. Like everything relies on you. Like whenever problems go on, customers come to you. Your employees, you're in charge of like their success. And so it can add a lot of stress, but at the end of the day, it comes back to like why you're doing it, right? Like you're going to have good and bad days all the time, right? Like for instance, yesterday, like some days I wake up, right, and I feel like I'm just slaying giants. Like I can just go through walls. I'm feeling great. Everything is aligned. Some days it's like, man, dude, I just feel like I'm just getting sprayed by a dang fire hose all day long.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, it's like, it's those hard days that if you keep pushing forward and just suck it up, like it's just inevitable. So the way that to answer your question is understand that you're going to have those days. The problem that I see, because I also ran a business called laneclients.com where I worked with a lot of students, people trying to start, and that was where they would get hung up. They would have a bad day. They would get discouraged. They would carry that energy into the next day. And then, like I'm saying, the compound effect, then you start stacking these days, starts hurting your confidence. Then when you feel like you're not doing anything right on business, then you start to slack on other things, and then it kind of just compounds, and then people give up, right? So understand that even the best of the best have off days, and focus on why you're doing it. You know, try to keep your mindset right by doing things that are like working out, meditating. Like if I feel stressed out, if problems, I literally stop what I'm doing and I'll meditate for like 10 minutes, just take deep breaths. I will go for a walk, do something, and just keep focusing on like, you know, you can do this. I do a lot of affirmations. I walk down the street and look like a weirdo talking to myself, but the stuff works. You know what I'm saying? Just focus on the vision, focus on where you want to go, and just believe in yourself, and don't let a bad day compound into other days that make things bad, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Definitely. No, there was some really powerful stuff in there, because it's easy, like we said earlier, you know, the concept is simple, but the actual execution is quite difficult when you get down to the tough days. And I'd like for you to hit a little more on some of the affirmations that you do and the meditations. You use like an app like Headspace or anything like that too, if somebody were listening that day?
Yeah, I use Headspace.
Okay. And then affirmations, did you get that from like a certain YouTube video, or like do you have a routine that you typically do with that?
Yeah, I'll just I write down like what I'm grateful for, and like the person, who do I want to be, right? I want to be a man who is, you know, good to his family, all these different things. Like I am confident. I am, you know, I can do anything that I put my mind to. Like figure out what those things are for you based on who that person you want to be is, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone's affirmation is going to be different based on who they are. So take time, write down who you want to become, what traits you want to have, and then make those your affirmations.
Definitely, definitely. And some people, when I've talked to them about affirmations before, I wouldn't say it's super common, but I do hear every now and then, I hear, I write this down, but I don't really feel anything. Do you have any advice on, like, besides from writing it down, is there anything else that you do, or is it just that consistency and repetition of doing that every day that eventually builds?
It's repetition, yeah, I'm not like, that's the thing. It's like, you can't go into it with, oh, I did it today. Like, and you're saying, like, I am confident, I am powerful, these different days in the morning, and then, like, you had a bad day and you're like, oh, those don't work, and then you stop. It's repetition, because the things you say, like, the way you think manifests itself into reality. So if you're thinking it's not working, that's technically going to manifest itself down into working. But if you're telling yourself, hey man, I'm just saying these affirmations, they are working, you're subconsciously, number one, putting in your head repeatedly over the course of a long period of time, which compounds. You've been telling yourself for 6 months every single day that you're confident, you're powerful, you're the leading person in your industry, you're great at what you do. You're going to believe that, because there's inputs, outputs, right? Mm-hmm. The inputs you put into your brain affect the way you think, which the output is the way you act, the way how you think, which makes a feeling, which then makes an action. Mm-hmm. And so if you focus on inputs of affirmations, positive things that are going in, that's going to make you think positively, believe that, which turns into a feeling of feeling good, feeling powerful, feeling confident, like you're clear, you know where you want to go, which gives you the action of acting in that way, which is going to help you be more successful. It sounds cliche, but, like, it's all so real, man. Like, so
definitely real. We keep hitting on this. It's kind of like the simple concept, like good in, good out, but it just is so true when you're consistently doing it. It's just the consistency is that hard part, which you touched on earlier, and how important that is to stay consistent so you can get through those, days that aren't so easy. And something that's helped me definitely, and I'm wondering if this has helped you as well, just in your experience as an entrepreneur and business person. So getting a mentor / coach, my definition and difference of the two is a coach is somebody who you pay. Mentor is somebody who, like, and they like you, so they're helping you out. So yeah. I'm wondering for you, have you had experience with either of the two, and how was that for you?
Yeah, no, I have lots of mentors, man. I was even blessed at a young age to have a couple mentors in my life that, like, here in Indy are very big. Like, one is a very successful commercial real estate investor, and he always spoke into my life, like, before I was actually making money and doing things, like, I would work at his house, and, like, I would just go and clean up his house, and then I would go into the garage and watch them working. And I have a video on it, but, like, there's this one thing that always stuck with me was he would literally do it all the time. He'd go on, like, his office was in the garage. He'd literally go to the ladder, pick a ladder up and put it in the middle of the floor. And then he would give me an analogy about why people are successful and why people aren't. And he would just make the analogy of how life and success is about going up one step of the ladder at a time. The reason people fail is because they look at the top of the ladder, they try to jump all the way to the top of the ladder. What happens? They're going to fall down, right? They're going to get discouraged. Then they're going to give up and settle for the life that is not what they could truly become. Or they look at the top of the ladder, they realize it's way too far and way too high, and they never try to jump. Right? So they never even start. The way to get success is going up the ladder one step at a time, and then you will eventually get there. I never knew that, where we're at right now, which is literally just, I don't even think I'm close to it. I'm not even close to the top. You know what I mean? But from where I started, it's crazy. Like, watching that, like, that clothing line had to fail. I had to start watching Facebook ads that led to me knowing how to do it, which led to me being willing to ask a different mentor, to work for him for free, doing all the work to prove to him, to then that compounding. You know what I mean? It's just one step of the ladder at a time that compounded to where I'm at today. I wasn't here at the start and was like, that's what I never thought that, but it's those actions, things will fall in place. The law of attraction, what you put into the world, the actions that you do, if you keep pushing forward and you focus on getting 1% better every day, that is seriously going to compound into something you had never dreamed of before, in my opinion.
Definitely. And it's really cool to hear too that you had free work that, really helped you gain certain skill sets and knowledge. Because I feel like and I get some people, it's really hard for them if they're not in the financial situation. Like some people need to support their families and whatnot. And I really, there's so many variables in life, but at the end of the day, money spends once, knowledge monetizes forever, right? And it compounds. And I mean, how important was that like humbling experience of working for free for you in order to gain that skill set and the knowledge that you gained from that?
Well, the thing is I never ended up having to work for free. I offered to. That's how I got it. I was like, listen, this is what I'm doing. I'm willing to work for you for free. Basically, he sent me like 130 hours of his own internal training material and said, study this. You have 2 weeks. I'm flying you out. And if you pass, I will hire you. You don't have to work for free and be your mentor. I lived with him for 1.5 years in Arizona. Literally was on a plane every 2 weeks. But thing is I was willing to do that. That's the core thing. But, so be willing to do that, This leads into another side tangent about like college. That's my problem with college is like, I think college, college is not that bad of a thing. The only problem I have is like with college is you don't need it for everything. And so like I see kids who have been conditioned, right? Inputs, outputs their whole life that, hey, get good grades so you can go to college, to get a piece of paper, then you can get a job. So subconsciously the input is that, hey, it's the piece of paper you need to get this job, which is completely false. So you have kids that have just got by, they're going to college, they don't pay attention, they just cheat on the test and get a good grade, just do enough to pass to get a piece of paper. Then they enter the real world after they've racked up sometimes hundreds of $1,000s in debt, then can't get a job because an employer only cares about the value you can bring to the company. That's all that matters. Like, are you irreplaceable? Do you actually bring value? So if you're going to college, you don't even have to know what you want to do, but actually go to college to gain skills, not just get a grade and a piece of paper, because that's not what's important. You know what I mean? That's my problem with it.
I definitely get what you're saying. And yeah, man, it's funny because like you said, you don't need a degree to get a job, like even a well-paying job or a job that's fulfilling. Like, look what Elliot did, guys. He approached this person who he respected and admired and wanted to become more like that person in certain areas or learn more from them, develop those work habits. And he approached him, offered to work for free. Like, if you do that to enough people, even if you think you can't get around those people, reach out to me. I'll help you, with a podcast. And then look, Elliot and I are connecting via podcast. It's just such an amazing age we live in if you're leveraging it, and you can't let it leverage you in a sense. But basically little tangent there, but yeah, college definitely has value in some areas, but I don't know. I mean, I could go in the rabbit hole on college, so I'll stay away from all my opinions on that. But I'm wondering, for your mentorship, what was like the top takeaway from going down to Arizona that much and flying and just observing this high performer?
Yeah, I mean, he just like pushed me, man. Like, for instance, he literally would make me make a video a day. Like, I have unlisted videos on my YouTube. They're so funny because he saw the value of content, right? And me being able to share my story over video and being comfortable there. But when I started, it wasn't. So he saw that, and as a mentor, he's like, hey, the only way he's going to get better is by doing it. It would literally force me to make videos every day. They sucked, to now where I can literally just pick up a camera and record. Also, I didn't like to speak, right? This is a very funny story. So I would travel with him. He was always a keynote speaker to all these different conferences. And my job was to be on like the stand on while he was speaking, walking around, change slides and like do the stuff, right? And one time he asked me, like on the plane right there, is actually in Singapore, We went to like China, we went to Chengdu, China, Hong Kong, Singapore. We spoke in Singapore. It's like 300 something people there. And he asked me on the plane right there, hey, do you want to speak? I was like, no. I was like, I'm good, right? Literally mid thing while he's there, he's like, Elliot, why don't you come up and tell your story? And like talk about, like, I knew the information. Like through, like, what am I going to say? No. Like everyone's watching. So threw me out there, got me out of my comfort zone. I obviously stuttered, messed up at first, but then I found a flow, like, and then did good. And then I literally got off stage and I had the biggest high, like it almost like natural high in my life. And boom, all of a sudden broke my limiting beliefs to where now I'm comfortable doing that. Same thing from a standpoint of, beginning entrepreneurs. They have, especially younger, I've worked with a lot of younger kids, like wanting to start agencies and things like that. And their biggest thing was they would be uncomfortable. They would get nervous having those business conversations or asking for money from older professionals. That was also a thing that I learned, right? I was able to sit there, analyze, how does he talk? How is his body language? He's making eye contact, looking directly at them. Those different things I was just always analyzed, and I picked up that whenever I was able to go and do it on my own, it changed it because my confidence of talking to those people was just night and day difference. Those small things that you pick up. And then obviously, we worked with clients like the Golden State Warriors, Ashley Furniture, like big brands. So I got to see what does it look like to deal with, work on kind of clients and deals of those magnitude and what goes into that. And, just a lot of different things, man. I got to see how like a team's built, how it's run, how each person, has a different piece that makes sure that this ultimately gets done. So just learned a lot that at a young age, it's hard for you, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, man, that's such a valuable experience through that whole mentorship. And especially, I love how you put you on stage midway through on that. Yeah. I am huge on getting uncomfortable. Like love it. And that is, it just seems like I could imagine being in that scenario and just being like, I'm about to shit myself, but still going on stage.
Yeah, my face was so red. I was so nervous. I was sweating.
Yeah, but
my face is probably super red right now, dude. My AC in my office is broken. It's like degrees in here.
No, you're looking good, man. You got the nice backdrop too. For those of you listening on audio, you might want to check it on YouTube to see it. But dude, I bet you grew that one day in your public speaking confidence more than potentially, like years before that. Like, yeah, that's just the power of it. And that's why for any listeners, like putting yourself in super uncomfortable scenarios is super uncomfortable, but in the long run, that compounds so much. So, we're wrapping up towards the end of the episode here. And there's always two questions I like to ask all my guests that come on the show. And the first one of those is, what is advice that you hear often, but you personally disagree with? There's tons of advice on social media and whatnot, and especially with different entrepreneurs on Instagram. So I'm just wondering, what do you consistently hear that you're like, you know what, I don't think that that's the right way to do it?
That's a good question. I think about that one for a minute.
Yeah. It's all good. I mean, I know for me, I've been trying to get off social more. So probably, I'm assuming you're probably in the same sense where you're not bombarding your mind with different feeds.
I just don't have time for it at this point. But I don't know. I'm having a brain fart right now. I'm trying to think of like.
No, it's all good. Like, it could just be like follow your passion. Start with content.
I mean, yeah, I think. I don't know. I think I don't like the idea of like people are just start. Like for instance, like I think that there needs to be prep and stuff. Like for example, I'll just show you like what I see in the marketplace that I really don't like, which is what other people are telling people to do. For instance, lots of businesses feel burned by digital marketers because they're just told to go out and just like sell a deal without having kind of confidence in what it is that they can do. I feel like you need to have the expertise before trying to like give advice and like go out and doing these different things, which if you don't learn from some of a mentor, I don't think you should just go out and just, try to sell something or do something and risk ruining, one, your reputation, two, having a client invest this money or whatever, do this thing, whenever you don't really know what you're doing.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's super valuable. And whether getting that from a mentor or like you said, offering to work for free and then learning those skills, if it's for a client or whatnot.
Just make sure you go through the right courses. Like, trust me, I know a lot of these like influencer guys and like these like course sellers, and they're not really experts. They're just freaking course sellers. So learn how they sold you that course, then maybe think about that business, There's a lot of really good ones out there though. Like, trust me, great course for someone I think that doesn't even know really what they're doing. I think a digital marketing agency or a consulting business is a great one for people to start, because if you learn and understand marketing, that's just going to take you in everything. We live in a world where it's all freaking marketing. Like, that's everything, right? Everyone has a lot of people have a great service, a great offer, all these different things, but it's the people who outmarket the others, the people who can afford, like they can spend more to acquire a customer than any of their competitors. Those are the people that are going to win. Also, a side note to how we're coming into this existing space and dominating, because no one can outspend us to acquire a customer. Plus, we offer way more value. It has to go hand in hand.
Definitely. So my last question I like to ask here is, clearly with all the success, you're a young guy and you've had a lot of success up to this point in your life as well as failures. But, a lot of times you look at entrepreneurs and everyone's like, man, like they're doing it right. But there's always, things that we're looking to improve on in our life or business. So I'm just wondering, what's like one big thing that you are looking to improve on in your life or business here?
Yeah, I mean, it's leadership, becoming a better leader, because as you grow, that's this has been, this stage in our company has been a massive growing point for me, and really all of us. The more people you bring on, really the more complex the business gets, the more people that you have to, keep happy and lead. Everyone has different personalities. So like, how do you learn to like incentivize and, help specific people based on, it just gets more complex. So like one thing that I'm really focused on is like, how can I just continue to become a better leader? Because being the leader, that's where it starts. When you lead, that's how things move, right? It's our job to cast a vision, be a better leader, help people get to where they want to be in the organization. So I'd say that, just trying to become the best leader I possibly can.
Yeah, definitely. And that will benefit you in so many aspects of life for sure. So thank you so much for coming on. Where is the best place for, a listener to follow up with you or connected at?
Yeah, Instagram is just Elliot Drake _. Shoot me a DM. Also, you can do LinkedIn, just Elliot Drake. Or if you want to check out my YouTube, just type in Elliot Drake. ELLIOT and then Drake like the rapper.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.